Hello everyone, welcome to my Last of Us Part 2 review. This is not really going to be like a lot of other reviews because actually I have a lot of different opinions which benefit the game and also hinder it in some way. So without further ado, let me just talk about how I felt when the game was coming out. So when the game was coming out, me and a bunch of my friends, we played Last of Us 1, pretty legendary game. We were super excited for it. The leaks came out about the game. We had tried our best to avoid them. I have completely avoided them, so I went into the game completely fresh. Obviously, I made a few jokes and stuff to my friends about what this would be funny if this happened because it would make the game crap. And it turns out they happened, and then, yeah, but however, they didn't work out how I thought they would. So let's start with gameplay. We'll do the story at the end. So let's start with some gameplay. So one aspect of the gameplay that I think is a very good addition, but at the same time it's not as effective as you'd think. So physical combat is what I'm getting at, like fist to fist, melee weapon to zombie or infected. So let's start with the good points. So the good points is when you're against an enemy such as a wolf or a scar, the physical combat, like hand to hand, it's really good. You can get into some really intense situations, which can be hard to get out of. Like, for example, fighting some of the bosses for the scars. They can be a real bugger to beat down, especially in Survivor. And yeah, you can get, like, I think the scars and the wolves can fight very differently because scars are more savages than more combat experienced wolves almost, and they all use their own different weapons. The only thing I'd say that the scars have over the wolves in terms of combat is there are different grades of them, which make them a little harder to deal with. So if you're going up against one of them who just run at you with a melee weapon, they're usually quite easy to take care of. However, when you get into the physical combat section, they may be a little harder than someone with a gun. Which the wolves are just the same over and over again. Even when you get into a fight with a dog, it's not too hard to avoid them. So I'd say scars are the harder problem when it comes to physical combat. However, there's one thing I want to point out about physical combat, which is, by the way, let's count how many times I say physical combat, is the infected. I think the infected are, unfortunately, I guess what are you expecting? You're going against a zombie, but when you're going fist to fist with them, it's not really very fun at all. It's just they're wildly swinging at you. The basis, even in survivor mode, is just dodge, punch, dodge, punch, dodge, punch. The only exception to that rule is probably a stalker who, I guess it's like a weirdly developed infected that almost has it feels like it has a brain, but it's obviously taken over by the virus a little bit. But yeah, like clickers, you can't really fight them physically because they're designed that as soon as they get hold of you, you're dead, pretty much. And yeah, physical combat is an interesting one. Obviously, actually, is a good one to point out. I'd say that physical combat is determined. Well, I think when you're playing as Abby, physical combat is a lot more efficient because obviously Abby is strong. She can snap people's necks. She can swing a weapon pretty damn fast. I don't know if that's different with Ellie, I can't remember. And obviously they have their own advantages to their melee combat. For example, as Abby, you can't sneak up and kill a clicker because you need to build shivs. A little weird that you can't just grab a knife off a table and stick it in a clicker's head, but yeah. But Ellie has automatically a knife, so she can take care of clickers really easy, which unfortunately at the beginning of the game, clickers are always supposed to be terrifying enemies, and considering you can take care of them so easily is kind of a little unfortunate, but they still are quite terrifying. Next thing I want to talk about is actually gunplay. So gunplay in this game is superb. However, this depends on your character. So let's start with Ellie. So you have your traditional gun, you have your standard pistol, which is the same with Abby. I'd say that when you're playing through the game, you're going to find more pistol ammo than any other ammo in the game, so I'd recommend that you upgrade that pistol because, you want more efficiency, fire rate, and all that good stuff. So yeah, upgrade that. And then you have the hunting rifle, which Ellie has, which unfortunately It's a great weapon, I'd say. However, yeah, again, a lack of ammo. But again, this depends on your difficulty. If you're playing on moderate, which I thought was actually going to be kind of, I thought they were going to be fair with the ammo, but no, apparently not. So yeah, it's a little different. Survivor, you're going to have little to none. But I think the hunting rifle is surprisingly weak. I even upgraded the damage on that bad boy, and it didn't really do what I wanted it to. And especially when you're upgrading the damage, getting headshots still isn't very easy. Wish it was an upgrade to make headshots easier, but I guess that just kind of removes the whole difficulty of the game. And then so there's not really any more guns I can really talk about that are exceptional until I go talk about Abby. I mean, Ellie has a shotgun. It's a shotty. It's great. That type of stuff. We could talk about so something unfortunately Ellie suffers with that Abby does not is Abby's weapon variations are a lot more superior than Ellie's. For example, Abby owns obviously she owns a normal traditional pistol, which is fine, that's all good. But just say her equipment in general, for example, her double-barreled shotgun, super bloody good, so good. I mean, it's you see what you just shot a clicker in the face. I mean, it may have been a one shot, but that changes drastically when you progress through the game. However, Abby's shotgun consistently performs very well. And also, Abby has I think it's a hunting pistol, which I'd say that 90% of the time one-shots no matter where you hit them. Again, this varies between difficulty. And let's move on to the gadgets real quick, because I mean, there are a lot more weapons, obviously Abby and Ellie own, but they're not really they're not as notable as some of the others. I mean, I guess the only gun that Ellie gets, which is mildly superior to anything Abby has, is the MP5 in the Santa Barbara sections, which we'll get into later on. Let's talk about gadgets. Unfortunately, again, Ellie gets the bad end of the stick, the short end of the stick, sorry, where she has a lot of gadgets like stun bombs and trap mines, which, in the difficulty I'm playing on, they were completely useless. Exploring a massive area only to be rewarded with a gadget that will give you no help at all unless you really need it is a little crap, unfortunately. I mean, when I go and play this through in the survivor mode again, I'm sure it'll be a little different. But she got Molotovs, I'll say that. Molotovs are great, however, they can underperform, depending on the impacts on which you hit an infected or an enemy. And then we move to Abby. So Abby, goddamn, her gadgets, so goddamn good. I mean, the only hindrance to her, I'd say, in her gadgets is, well, I mean, crafting, technically, is she has to make shivs, which sucks. And I'm telling you right now, I never made a single shiv in my whole entire gameplay, because if I see a clicker, I end up either shooting it or going around it. So, yeah, that's it. And who needs a shiv when you have a silencer, which you can make incredibly easy with the resources you have around you? Which, just saying, silencers are pretty amazing. I didn't think I'd use them that much, but I ended up using them quite a lot. Abby has what I'd like to call the equivalent to the Molotov, but they're called pipe bombs, which, I'm sorry, Ellie, but the pipe bombs are extremely good. Like, I can recall many a times where I've thrown a pipe bomb into like a bunch of scars and boom, they're all just gone immediately. It's just a satisfying weapon to have. So that's all I can really say in terms of gunplay and melee combat. I guess I could talk about melee weapons, but again, it's just same as like just normal combat, except you have a slightly better hand in it. So yeah, it's not really much I can say in that point. So now I'm going to move on to a section which is to do with level design and just the enemies in general, not necessarily in combat, but just in general. So I'll talk to you then. Okay, so something I want to talk about real quick. And this is actually this is a perfect clip what I'm showing you to kind of example you how good some of the level design is. The reason I'm showing you this clip is because I'd say this section completely has some of the best level design in the entire game. For example, like this whole area, it acts like an open world section. And do you know what? What the game does really well is the fact that you'll see a building, a massive, colossal building, and you'll think, oh, this is where I'm supposed to go next to progress in the story. Turns out just to be a big-ass building full of lots of rewards. I think that is such a great thing. Obviously, you can see from the gameplay here, There's something over there. I can never find it because, do you know what? I think puzzles are great in this game. I mean, that clearly could have not have been a puzzle, and I could have just been retarded as fuck. But, you know, it is what it is. And yeah, going back to level design, there is a building I encounter later on in this gameplay that you're probably going to see, or I may have already passed it, where it looks like a main story building. You go in, turns out it's just a loot-infested area, and you get to a workbench, and I'm telling you, this game may not be the scariest thing in the world, but it had some pretty insane horror sections to it. For example, you walk up to a workbench, you open it up, and then you just hear, "Oh!" and then someone grabs you from behind. If you could hear my audio right now, I literally shit dribbles down my leg. I scream so loud, like a little bitch, when this happens. And another thing I want to talk about level design. I'd say that when you fight a wolf, when you fight wolves specifically, level design is never very good. It's just, I feel like they keep repeating the same like environments. I mean, I guess you can be said for, I guess the infected, but the thing is, the infected of the horror section, you're supposed to feel, you know, confined in an area. You got to think of like, oh crap, I've got to be really careful how I move. I mean, you could say that again against the wolves, but I found in a lot of sections when you're against the wolves, especially in the Ellie sections, it's just the same thing over and over again. You'll be in a completely overgrown area, for example, a neighborhood where you meet Jesse for the first time. Oh my god, that was easily one of the most boring sections in the game. Sorry, I don't have COVID. And yeah, just it's kind of a thing that keeps continuing throughout the whole game. One thing I will say though is scars do have the same type of areas where it's all overgrown, but the way like scars are one of those enemies. Like you'd think that the wolves would be the enemies that you'd think that, oh, I could probably take them all on with the guns. That may be true, but scars, despite having limits to their weaponry, oh my god, trying going up against them with guns is horrific. And by the way, this is all my experience, by the way. So if you may have experienced things different, but I experienced things really, really harshly. And now I want to talk about the infected, and like the infected in general, and just the level design which I have encountered. So don't get me wrong, there are a lot of sections which are just reworked sections that just had wolves and scars in them, but just with infected, which kind of sucks. But then there are these dark as hell areas. Like, I had my brightness way up, and I still couldn't see shit in these areas, and they make you feel so on edge. Obviously the infected, which made the level design that much more interesting, were the stalkers. The stalkers are goddamn nightmare fuel, I'm telling you right now. In this exact clip, I might show you it, I might not, who knows. I walk into a room, my friends never experienced this, so I walked into a room, I was just looting, and this was the first time you encounter them. And I turned around and I looked in the door, and there was one just watching me. And again, like I said with the workbench, I shit myself. That was the section of the game where I thought, like, oh my god, these things are actually terrifying. Can I even play this? Can I continue playing? I felt like quitting the game. That's the first time in a game that I felt genuinely scared, and I did not want to progress. And goddamn, it is such a good experience, those stalkers. And even when you're in the forest as Abby, when you're you know, walking with Lev and Yara, that is, oh my god, just coming out of the shadows like, fuck! Jeez, they're such good infected. If they ever make another Last of Us game, except for debate, if people want that to happen, please reintroduce the stalkers. They're so good. And then let's go over other zombie types real quick. So we have your normal infected. They're just the threat that they just kind of sprint you down, that type of stuff. You know, they're kind of like I mean, when you see normal infected, you're like, oh, not a problem. But when you're in a group of other infected, they're quite dangerous. They're the ones, obviously, that can see you pretty easily. And then we have clickers. I already described clickers earlier. They're still just as terrifying. Obviously, their difficulty depends on what character you're playing. If you're playing as Ellie, they're dead. They're just easy as hell to get around. And then if you're playing as Abby, they're like, well, it's either kill or be killed. So you got to use your gun and stuff like that. By the way, there's that scene where I get grabbed at that bloody workbench. I almost pooed myself. Yeah, and then we can move on to, yeah, I've already talked about stalkers. There are shamblers. They are a new type of zombie. They kind of act like bloaters, but they're just not as strong. Like, surprisingly, despite the game being really difficult on moderate, I didn't really have an issue with shamblers at all. Those bloody bloaters, though, then the next enemy I'm talking about. Bloaters, there's a massive lack of bloaters in the game. I mean, it could be considered a good thing, but I feel like, I mean, even though there is a lot of challenge, I felt like they could have used bloaters more, because I found them in a few boss fight areas, and sometimes like one in just a random section when I was playing as Abby. I will say that something that kind of annoyed me in terms of, I know I'm talking about plot now, but it's not going to go on forever, is the fact that there is in a flashback with Joel, you get to fight a bloater, and it turns out when I was playing it, I was in that section for ages, and I was running around because I ran out of enemy ammo against the bloater, and I was like, why isn't it dying? And then it turns out it's a scripted event in which you actually have to get grabbed by him for it to actually progress in the game. So I wish it wouldn't have been scripted. I wish I could just kill it, because it kind of sucks that I had to wait so long. Obviously, some people may have sucked badly, so they may have got to experience it the great way and see Joel save the day, but unfortunately I did not. Moving on from bloaters, we have... these are like two zombies in the game, which they only occur once, really. They kind of sucks. One is the big boss zombie from Abby's story, which is found underneath a hospital. You know what I'm talking about if you've played the game. It only occurs once, and yeah, it kicks my ass multiple times. That was a terrifying zombie because, well, I keep calling it zombie, it's infected. Because, like, goddamn, they said there was other infected in the game, but I was not expecting on that capacity. They were ginormous. But there's not much I can say about it, except for it is just disgusting in a really good way. And then there's, like, another zombie that is just, really, it's like a really armored clicker that acts like a stalker, and I probably had more trouble with him than the actual big-ass boss, which really weird. There's not much I can say, because he only appears once. But yeah, Infecteds were really great in this game. However, they just didn't appear enough, in my opinion. I've been fighting so many wolves and scars, but I guess, you know, when people think of The Last of Us, they think Infected, the virus, and all that stuff, but, I mean, I know they're experienced with real-life issues and stuff, and, like, you know, real people, but goddamn, I don't think there was enough. Even if you explore like a lot of nooks and crannies in the open world, it's kind of interesting. Actually, this is a good time to talk about the open world sections. So, I can't really tell you how many open world sections there are, because there's not really, not a lot of them. If I was to say proper open world, I'd say 2, I'd probably say. Obviously, if you feel differently, do tell me. So let's start with Ellie and Dina's section in Seattle when you first get there, which, hang on a minute. Which, when you're in it, it's the biggest open world section, definitely. Where, I don't know, there's a lot to explore. I felt it was a very great part of the game. Obviously, there's a lot of things to explore, very hidden as well. I actually experienced some things that my friends did not experience. For example, the bank, and I think it was the music shop. I'm aware I missed a few buildings, because I found a key, and there was nothing really to do with it. Yeah, so they were really good hidden areas, and they had such good payoffs. So I found a pump shotgun as Ellie. That's a really good benefit, despite not being as good as Abby's shotgun. Also, something they're really good at in level design in the open world sections is making you just run around, like, in general. You could go to one area, find a key, and you're like, oh, a key. Where does this lead? And it could lead to somewhere completely different in the open world. And you never find it. For example, yeah, I told you that key was for like a pet shop or a veterinary hospital, and I never found it. And I kind of regret that. So when I go in my Survivor gameplay, I'm going to be hunting that bitch down, probably, if I can even survive that long. Yeah, so the open world section in the first section is really good. And then you play as Ellie for a second open world section where you're on your feet rather than on a horse. And I'm going to be honest, Naughty Dog has a really good attention to detail. However, when you make areas full of nothing look so good, that sucks. I literally have explored so many areas that look super relevant and I'd think you'd be secret stuff, and I'll find jack diddly squat and a stun bomb, which I never use, pretty much. And yeah, it kind of sucks, that second section. There are kind of more, but they're really on the smaller scale. But yeah, that's really all I've got to say for open world. I think they did a good job of the open world sections. Like, they're not great by any means, but they did a good job. It adds something to the gameplay. In terms of like travel gameplay, for example, horse and boat. Was there anything else you had to use? Probably not. I can't remember. But yeah, horse is just self-explanatory. It's kind of just like the Red Dead horse, except for it's not pooing and you can't see its balls, pretty much. And then you got your boat. Again, it's just hold R2 and it goes, pretty much. Or is it left stick? I don't remember. But yeah, it's just not much to say about it. It's just how you traverse the world. At least it's quicker. I don't want to run around everywhere. And I'm kind of glad that during the pacing of this game that, you know, you'll say like the aquarium in the distance, be like, holy shit, that's far away. And then you'll find a horse or a boat and it will be fandiddly-tastic. Next thing I want to talk about, I'm going to cut off here and then just talk again, is actually the final part is story, because story is definitely where I think the game can shine and it can suck at the same time, so let's get prepared for that. Right, so leading on from open areas and gameplay, we need to talk about the story. So, the story for this game, it's interesting, definitely. It's, obviously, if you was to ask me, does this game's story stand up to The Last of Us 1? No. Despite the Last of Us 1 story being kind of linear, in a way, you know, you're just taking Ellie to the Fireflies, really, and it has its little subplots and stuff. It's pretty good. Last of Us 2 goes for a more complicated, you know, in-depth story, which is not necessarily. I mean, the story's kind of about revenge and kind of forgiveness at the same time. So let's start right at the beginning. So, Joel killed all the doctors and Fireflies in The Last of Us 1, which caused a lot of bad events to happen in The Last of Us 2, which obviously one of the doctors happens to be Abby's dad. Abby is a character with, well, built like an ox, as they say in the game. Obviously one of the main characters you play as. And she, well, murders our boy Joel because of it. A lot of people did not like this, that they killed off Joel so early on in the game. I personally, when I experienced it, you'll see gameplay of it on my channel later on, I was not happy at first. I was like, this was the joke I made to my friends, like, wouldn't it be funny if they killed Joel off, like, right at the beginning? And we all laughed and chuckled, and then it happened. And I was like, Naughty Dog, Neil Druckmann, have you been listening to me? And yeah, that was really weird. At first I thought, what? They just kill off Joel like that? However, something in the story that makes the game shine is its characters. I'd say that most of the characters in the game, a lot of people disagree with me on some of them, but I think they are absolutely fantastic characters. For example, this is going to sound weird, but I ended up not liking Ellie that much throughout this game. Because she's like the only... I'd say that there is a lack of character development for everyone in the game, except for probably Abby. And I would say that Ellie has the biggest lack. So first of all, let's talk about some secondary characters. I think secondary characters where the game really shines. I fucking love Dina. I don't care what you say. I think, right, so Ellie is actually more like Joel, I would say, in this game. You know, I mean, Joel wasn't a lesbian and he wasn't a girl. But I feel like Dina weirdly acts how Ellie used to act back in The Last of Us 1. She's quite childish. I mean, Ellie can act childish, but Dina is like the kind of the leaning force. And Dina's just a really likable character. Had some good interactions with Ellie in earlier gameplay. And then, obviously, she takes a backseat because of her weird pregnancy thing, which, I'd say that despite that being a big plot point, it didn't really lead to much. I'd say her pregnancy, I mean, it led to a baby. But that was it. Yeah, Dina is a fantastic character. obviously I found it weird when I found out, like I saw the actual face cast for her, and I was like, wow, holy crap. Usually they're not supposed to resemble the actual person, like, too much, but fucking hell, straight up. Um, moving on to, like, a character like, let's go to Abby's side. So we have characters like, Manny. Manny is a character that, bastard spits on Joel and goes, pendejo, and that stuff. He comes off as a bit of a twat at the beginning, a bit of a asshole by cutting lines and just being a cocky brat and stuff like that. Well, I'm not really a brat. He does become semi-likable, but he suffers an unfortunate fate, like one of my more likable characters in the game, Jesse, where... well, first of all, let's talk about Jesse. So Jesse is, he's just, I don't know, one of Ellie's just good mates. He used to date Dina, which obviously can make them relate in somehow. Obviously, Dina's pregnant, which probably would have meant that Jesse was the father. However, Jesse gets killed straight up. When they're in the theatre in a certain chapter, he gets killed off really quick. At first, I thought, oh man, they wasted a lot of potential with Jesse. But I don't know, I feel like it shows the realism to the game that, not all important characters can just live on like that. They just can't. Like, some of them just get killed in battle, and it's more realistic, I guess. But it was a shame to lose Jesse so early on. Manny, I lost interest near the end of his little lifespan, especially when Tommy kind of killed him. Usually I'd feel bad because obviously Abby lost a friend, but I don't really care at that point. It's just Manny. And then we have we have characters like Mel. Mel, I could not give a crap about. Another pregnant lady, but I just didn't care. She just had nothing appealing about her. She's just that medic bitch, pretty much, who shits all over Abby all the time. Owen, he is a likable character. However, he develops a point in the story. He develops a plot point in the story with Abby, which it kind of sucks. It feels like I've wasted time on the game because of him, unfortunately. And then we have Abby, just in general. Abby, at the beginning, we all hate Abby. She killed Joel. However, they did a really good job of making us feel bad for her, and we see how she actually acts. A lot of people don't like Abby, just specifically for the reason that Joel got killed, which sucks, because I feel like if you can't learn to experience something new and feel anything for the person at the end, I feel like it's kind of a, I don't know, if you just live your life in a game thinking, Joel is who we got to avenge, and you think that Ellie can't be the bad guy at all in this, I feel like the way you think is kind of flawed in a way. But yeah, I think in my opinion they do a really good job of making us feel bad for Abby's side. And then we have two additional characters in the characters of Lara and Lev. I was going to talk about Tommy and Joel, but to be honest, there's not much I can say about Joel because he's just Joel. There's no character development with Joel. He's just, the only character development is just between, it's kind of Ellie when, she discovers that Joel just took her out of the Firefly hospital because he just wanted to save her. And obviously, it's all old stuff. We already knew this was going to happen, but there's not much to say about Joel except for rest in peace, my boy. Tommy is just vengeful. I can't blame him. He lost Joel. He's going to be very vengeful. However, unlike Ellie, Tommy does not develop in any way at all. His character does not develop. He develops a hatred towards Abby, and it doesn't pay off in the end. And he stays there, and we don't know what happens. Lara and Yev. Was it Yara? Yeah, Yara and Lev. Sorry, not Lara. Yara and Lev. Yara, just quickly say, I think she's a great side character to help Lev, which is more of a main character in Abby's story. She's great. She's just a nice character and to enjoy having around. She can be a hindrance because she loses her arm, but she kills Bernard and Isaac. Sorry, and it's she's just got a good little arc. She may have died, but I think she did something good. Isaac was an asshole. Lev didn't even figure out he was transgender until my friend told me after beating one of the sections, and that surprised me. Honestly, I I thought, obviously, at first, I thought that the name Lily that they call him was just a title for a traitor because he shaved his head. But no, it's a whole transgender thing. That caught me off guard, and Lev is one of my favourite characters in The Last of Us 2. He's just a really fun character, I think. He's like, I mean, he, I don't know, he's showing, he has like resemblance to Ellie, kind of being a little bit annoying in The Last of Us 1, but he's got charm to him, which makes him likable. How he's got this mutual respect, even though he's being traitor to the Scars, he's still got the respect and mutual respect for them, which is, you know, interesting. And you get some Lev's introduction to Abby's story drains out a lot of the bad. For example, you know, the Sky Bridge, going to the Scar Island, all that stuff. That was amazing. That was beautiful that happened. I loved that. But now I want to quickly talk about just the plot, and it has some pacing issues. So let's start with Ellie. So Ellie's section at the beginning, I'd say it is perfectly paced. Actually, no, not perfectly paced. It has one bad issue, which is a severe there is a lot of wolf combat sections which, god damn, they are so boring. God damn. First time you encounter them, yeah, scary, boo-hoo-hoo. It's just, god damn, it's repeating the same area over and over again and just dealing with annoying dogs, which weren't that annoying. It's just, I think it might have been my difficulty, to be honest. My difficulty caused the wolf sections to just be too hard for me. I could never get through a stealth section with those without them seeing me. I don't know what I was doing wrong. Or the AI is just too good for moderate. I don't know, but I found them extremely frustrating. I've died so many times on those sections. Yeah, and apart from that, it's not really much of a pacing issue. It's just hunting down Abby like you would suspect. And then we move to, I guess, the Abby sections. Oh god, this is where it sucks. Unfortunately, Abby's Day 1 and Day 2 of Seattle, they are, unfortunately, they're so bad. Day 1, your introduction to Abby, it's kind of just, you know, you're learning to like the characters. I mean, it's not that bad. Day 1's not as bad as Day 2, but it's just introduction, makes you feel bad for the dogs. Oh, God, the poor dogs. How I felt when I killed Bear, as Ellie. No, finding out that, you know, Bear was, you know, a friendly dog to the wolves, it just made me sad. I don't like killing dogs. But yeah, going back to it, yeah, it's just kind of dealing with Scars, going through massive open areas where you have no idea where you're going at all, because for some reason the hints to where you're supposed to go are so minimal in this game, where I've just stood around and did nothing for the whole time, so that's a shame. Yeah, it's not much to say about Day 1, it's just introducing you to the characters that you've seen before, but to a more in-depth state, which I guess they did justice for Owen, Abby, and the dog, probably. But yeah, it's a little sucky. There are some flashbacks, but they're not very memorable. Just learning about a dad. I mean, you don't really get too interested in a dad because you know he's dead, and again, only one flashback. I think something that kind of sucks is right. So at the end of Day 1, you start a secondary plot within Abby's, which is finding Owen, and the thing that sucks is, at first you're just finding Owen because, yeah, finding Owen is just what you're supposed to do, and then there starts to be a love story starting to develop. And something I don't really like in stories, especially a game that's supposed to be about infected, is putting too much emphasis on relationships. I mean, yes, Ellie and Dina are lesbians. No crap. But at least they don't throw it in your face like Dina and Owen's like, god damn, fucking anal. They're having straight up sex on the screen. I don't care. I literally made my way to the aquarium just to fuck you, pretty much. That was it. That's all I did for Owen. I fucked him. But, you know, I mean, we found Lev and Yara during that same day, which I guess was a good introduction, but god damn, fucking sucks. God damn it. And that's why, I'm going to get to my verdict later, But yeah, it kind of sucks. Very slow Abby's section, but day 3 is great. Love day 3. Good old Scar Island and all that good stuff. And then we move on to the Santa Barbara sections where you play as Ellie. This is the final part. I thought, despite me not liking Ellie for a lot of the game because she gave up her family just to hunt down Abby once again, I thought that her costume change, her hair, she looked so badass. It was crazy. I was like, I didn't like you at first, Ellie, but bloody hell, you know how to make me feel different about this type of stuff. Yeah, Santa Barbara is such a beautiful location. By the way, Naughty Dog, you did a great job at making everything just look great, even if it's a crappy old hospital. You made that look amazing. But Santa Barbara is definitely where the graphics shine the most. Just beautiful sun. Feels like Dead Island 3, even though it's not out. If you watch the trailer, you'll get what I mean. Yeah, it's just I mean, again, it is just stealth sections against soldiers from a different group, and they have bulletproof helmets, which kind of prove to be quite the challenge when it comes to the end game. But yeah, it's a really fun part, I'd say. It's just the environment and the way they deal with like infected and all that stuff. It feels very fresh. I think that's why I like it, and just how Ellie is just like mindlessly hunting her down at this point. I mean, she's thinking about it when she was with Dina and all that and Tommy, but goddamn, she's like, I want him dead. I want these nightmares to go away. And then they get to a fight scene, which is really like Kenny and Jane from The Walking Dead Season 2, which I thought very emotional fight. I was like, if you kill Abby, I'm going to be very disappointed, because I think that Abby's developed so much in this game that I feel like killing her off is just doing a disservice to the character, I'd say. And I think that Ellie killing Abby is a disservice to the character as well. Actually, speaking of killing characters, that Ellie boss fight was absolute trash. I've never struggled so hard and got bored by a boss fight in my life. I don't know why I just threw that in there. I just forgot to mention it earlier, but yeah, Ellie boss fight sucks. But yeah, you get to fight Abby as Ellie. It's just a fist fight, not much else to it. It's just got a lot of intensity. Things are at stake, and then Ellie forgives Abby. Well, not forgives, but she lets her go, which is a good thing for Ellie's character. It makes her not so unlikable after all this time. I mean, a lot of people were looking for the revenge, obviously. My experience was, I think they should have, maybe not liked each other, but they should show that, they've all killed basically the same amount of people. They've all lost loved ones. So they should, learn to forgive. And that's what the ending kind of ensues. The ending is great, by the way. My friend kind of explained it to me a little bit more. So, for example, Ellie loses her fingers, which stops her from playing the guitar, which is the one thing that Joel taught her, which kind of resembles what she's lost for hunting Abby down and seeking revenge and stuff. And also what is it? And at the end, it kind of shows us the last time Ellie spoke to Joel, and it's kind of not very emotional at all, I'd say. I mean, no, it is emotional, definitely, and it hits hard because it's the last time they spoke. And Ellie said that, she wants to try and forgive, and that is the point where she forgives Abby, well, kind of, and lets her go. So yeah, I think that was a great ending, I think. Obviously the game's not perfect by any means, but it was a very good ending. By the way, again, I'm sorry if I repeat myself a lot. This is a raw review. I've been speaking for 38 minutes straight. Don't blame me if my soul gets a bit croaky. But yes, I guess, yeah, the ending is just good. I have nothing else to say. We don't know where it's going to lead on. Are they going to make another game? Who knows? I wouldn't mind a game where they explore other characters. For example, Tommy in Seattle. That'd be cool. Jesse, maybe. Maybe more Abby. Maybe more Lev. A lot of people don't seem to want that, so, I mean, I guess not. Maybe some more Joel pre-apocalypse. I think that'd be cool. And yeah, I actually want to make a video talking about how they could have done the story differently and maybe made it a little bit better, marketable, and just playing. But yeah, I want to make my verdict. So, The Last of Us Part 2 is definitely a game that I think, if you like story, you should definitely experience it at least once. If you don't like it, at least you've experienced it. But I'd say that I could probably play this game once more, and then probably never again, because it's too long for me. It is just too long. Probably not worth me playing another time, but I'm going to do it anyway, just to give it a more bigger chance. Maybe I'll even change my mind about a few things, but yeah, I definitely want to give it a new shot. So, with that said, I am going to give The Last of Us Part 2 an 8 out of 10. I'd say that I think that's a fair score. I wouldn't say it's not a bad game. I'd say that the game is great. It's not amazing. It's like, yeah, it's just great. It's a great game. Just play it. Do you know what? I kind of Why am I having second thoughts right at the end? I think I'd say it's great. I'd say it's a great game, but I wouldn't say it's legendary. Nowhere near the scale of Last of Us 1, definitely. But 8 out of 10, yeah. God damn, that was weird. I almost had second thoughts. I'd say, okay, 7 or 8 out of 10. There we go. Jesus, I'll make my mind up soon. Yeah, 7 or 8. 8, fuck it. 8 out of 10, okay? It was fun, alright? I enjoyed it a lot, and it felt like when I stopped playing it, I felt like something was missing from my life. So 8 out of 10. Good job, Naughty Dog. You know, maybe change up the way you do stories in the future. But yeah. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you like this review. It's a hefty review. I don't know how I've spoken for so long, but thank you so much. I'm probably stuttered over my words a million times. I've probably swallowed a lot. I've probably sniffed a lot. Sniffed a lot. It makes it sound like I'm sniffing cocaine, but yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later, alright? Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.